That's a great idea. I'll go to an event in the middle of a holiday rush. That's a great idea, Amy. Do that every year. Good idea.
Welcome to Maker's Hustle, the podcast about turning your passion into a profession. This is episode 21 for Monday, December 5th, 2016. I'm your host, Bill Lavolsi, and here are my co-hosts, Amy Davis-Roth. Hey, Amy.
Hey, we're old enough to drink now.
Yay! And Jeffrey Moore. Hey, Jeff.
Hello, hello, hello. How's everybody doing?
Doing pretty great.
That was the best I had.
Yeah.
It threw me off.
That was excellent.
Threw me off, so it was the
I
best
would
I
like
had.
to buy this podcast a drink.
Nice.
All right.
So before we get rolling, I want to take a moment to thank everyone on Patreon, but especially our top Patreon supporters, Luis Gonzalez and Ryan Ohoro, plus new supporter Dave Bauer, and a special thank you to Elaine Go, who increased her pledge this week. Thank you all so much.
Wow,
Thank you.
welcome to the family. Thank you for being here. Hey, I looked on Patreon,
Yep,
and I noticed that we're at $66 an episode.
I know.
We're freaking rich. I was like, geez, Louise, I'm making more money on Patreon. I was like, I'm making more money over here than I am at the day job.
We are medium pimping.
If that's true, that is the saddest thing.
I need to make some life changes here.
So if you would like to, it's been a big week on Patreon, but if you would like to support the show, you can check that out at patreon.com/makershustle. I've been trying to post some little extras over there whenever I can remember to do it. Like if I'm editing the show, I'll put a little clip up there or something just before everybody else. And you get access to the show before everyone else. And we give stuff away. And I'm going to have something big to give away next week, I think.
Exciting.
Yeah.
Very
so
exciting.
That'll be something special.
I sent out an art print, but didn't we say we were going to do another one? Because we can do that if you want. Do you want to wait?
Yeah, can we hold off next week? We'll give away a few things next week.
Yeah, sure.
Because I'll be
give away
better
a couple things.
Everybody next week.
Everybody give away something next week.
Yeah, so if you're listening, be sure to sign up then, because it's going to be a
yes.
bonanza.
Absolutely. Let's give them an opportunity to win some serious
Super hustle
gifts.
giveaway.
Yeah, that'll be great.
It'll be the Christmas special.
Oh, yeah. Aw,
That's a good
nice.
idea. There you go.
I like that. We will be Santa's elves, and we will send you fun stuff
Nice.
Yes.
that we've made with our dirty little hands.
Just make sure you leave cookies so that I can come. You know I love cookies.
Send me cookies or you get nothing.
So, what's everybody working on this week? What have you guys been up to?
Oh, boy. I have been working on so much stuff. So I leave tomorrow at 8 for San Francisco for the cell biology conference. So I sent a picture to you guys. I don't know if it went through, of my desk or my work desk out in the main studio is just covered with surly-ramics. It's like it looks like, I don't know, like a kiln threw up on a table and there's just stuff everywhere. So I'm packing for that, getting ready for that conference. That'll be a lot of fun. And then I'm working on a bunch of art for my patrons on my personal Patreon, which is patreon.com/surly-amy. If you're a member of that, you get free stickers now. So each month I'm turning some of my designs into really cool, like, die-cut stickers. So I'm working on that, and I just did a couple designs, and I'm working with a printer to get those made. So I'm doing that.
That's awesome.
All right. Sounds like a very exciting week. I hope you have a successful cell biology conference. Good luck to you out there.
Me too. I hope I learned something.
Yes. Well, that would be great. And then you can come back and teach our wonderful family here at Maker's Hustle.
Yeah.
Jeff, how
All
about
right.
you?
So what I was working on, a couple of things. So I started off the week by driving in because, like, as we mentioned on the last podcast, I was out of town in Buffalo. So spent the earlier part of the week in Buffalo relaxing. While I was out there, I was working on the website. Website is almost 100% finished. I was able to come up with a logo that I'm happy with.
Nice.
So I'm very excited about that. When I got back, though, because I have a workshop coming up that I'm going to be doing with some kids, I had to sit down and get to work on the robot. So when we went to the last Makers Fair here in New York, I wasn't happy with the feet. I didn't like the way that they kind of stopped the entire motion of when they would touch the ground. So I had to rethink about how I was going to do that differently. But I went with it when we went to the Makers Fair. But when I got back, I had to deal with that problem. So I reprinted some feet. I'm not 100% happy with them, but I think they'll do for the workshop next week. So I had to put those on. The robots, I knocked that out, worked on the website, ordered some business cards, and that's about it this week.
That's a lot.
That is a lot. That's good.
A very, and I've been getting that in between taking extra naps because for some reason my sleep cycle is messed up. And I'm getting, like, usually when I come home, I pass out. It's not even intentional. Like, I'll be working on my computer and out of nowhere I pass out and then I wake up like an hour later. So I've been getting all that done in between passing out on the couch. So
whoa,
I don't know.
Yeah, it's the time change messes me up. Like, I start waking up really early for no reason, and then I'm tired, by like 4:30 in the afternoon because it's dark.
I get physically angry that the sun goes down so early. Like,
At 4 o'clock.
I get frustrated. Yeah, I get like mad.
You like walk outside and wave your fist in the air.
Yeah, like, I haven't got enough stuff done yet. It's not nighttime.
So
let's
messing
see.
me up.
What did I do this week? I published a video. I did a tiny collaboration project with our friend Pat Lapp.
I love him.
I know.
Matt, if you're listening, I love you.
Yeah.
Did
all love
Pat. He's so
Did the
funny
pen come
and
out
sweet.
already?
What's up? The pen?
Did the pen video come out
yes.
already?
Yes, it did.
That was a great video.
He made a Maker's Hustle inspired pen. It came out on his channel. I will link to that because that's awesome. But he made me a couple of keychains, one for me and one for my wife, and he sent them unassembled. But he also sent all the video footage and said, I wasn't going to make a video for this, but I did film it. So if you want to, you can, use it, finish putting it together and put the whole video out. So it was fun kind of working with somebody else's footage, just because it's not something I've done a whole lot of. Normally, if I'm editing video, I shot the video. But he filmed it from 3 different camera angles at the same time, so I got everything all synced up and then started playing around with it. And I found like a jazz song that has like a nice, I don't know, I guess it's like a 6/4 beat. So having 3 camera angles on a 6/4 was actually really cool because I could switch between them at certain parts, and it's cool. But I'll have a link to that too, so you should check that out too.
Where does he live? Does he live in Canada?
Yeah, he's up in Quebec.
Cool.
Up until 2 years ago, he did not speak any English.
That's why I love his videos and stuff, though. I love it. I love his accent and the whole thing. And he helped me a lot with some of those little art projects I was doing where I was putting French in it, and I kept screwing it up.
Yeah, because your French was really wrong.
My French was really wrong, yeah. And so I really appreciate it when people correct me on stuff like that. So he helped me out a lot.
Yeah, that was very
Thanks,
cool.
Pat.
Thank you, Pat.
That's super funny.
So we'll link to both of those videos, but they're pretty great. And then there's probably some more Pat Lap stuff coming soon. Oh, right, I helped him write a project for Instructables because, like I said, up until 2 years ago, he didn't speak any English. Now, for someone who didn't speak any English 2 years ago, his English is incredible.
Yeah,
right? But
definitely.
Every once in a while, like the finer points of grammar, they're tricky. I mean, even if you grew up speaking English, it's still tricky.
Yeah,
so,
English is a really hard second language.
Yeah, so he wanted to hire me to correct this for him, but I like Pat, so I just said that I would do it. But he said, well, I don't want you to do it for free. And I said, well, why don't you just make me something? So he made me this beautiful fountain pen, and it should be showing up in the mail like any second now, and I can't wait.
So nice.
Yeah, so if I leave in the middle of the podcast and go check the mail, it's because I'm looking for my pen.
All right, cool. If I leave, it's because I'm supposed to get a wine delivery, so I'll see you later.
Ooh, that's exciting. I'm coming over.
Well, I have nothing coming, so
Christmas
I'll be here.
time, we get a wine delivery for Christmas, me and my husband, every year.
Nice.
We like to give wine to the neighbors and stuff like that.
Oh, that's cool.
It's a good gift. So we get from a local winery. Mm-hmm. So we got Castoro wines this year, and they're a California winery that does really great wine. They do damn fine wine because they have a beaver dam.
Oh, nice.
And they're a winery, so
that's cool.
They're really cool. Yeah.
So let's talk about the topic for this week. And this week we decided we're talking about protecting yourself. Because as most of you know, if you are in business for yourself, things can go wrong. And when things go wrong and you have no safety net, businesses have a habit of disappearing or collapsing or imploding or catching fire or, stuff like that. So we're going to talk about...
So number one is wear a condom.
Not exactly what we meant.
It's not what we're talking about?
No.
Because number two, I have wear a sweater because it's cold out today.
Oh.
So now...
When did you become somebody's mother?
She got a different memo.
This, seriously, I think it happened like last week when I started growing my hair out, and then like some lady at Costco who looked like Hillary Clinton like gave me good advice, and so then I started freaking out that I guess I'm old now, and so I'm just gonna roll with it and start taking care of everyone.
It's cold. Wear a jacket.
It's cold. Wear a jacket and a condom. Put it on your head.
That is so funny.
Yeah, this went to a weird place, like real fast. But yeah, we're talking
how much
about
like Hillary Clinton did she look though?
She looked so much like Hillary Clinton that I almost wanted to do a selfie with her.
Are you sure it wasn't Hillary?
No, it wasn't. It wasn't. But it was just a woman of that age with that same haircut, which I guess is popular now because of Hillary.
Like, she lost the election, but I'm pretty sure, she could find a better job than that. I don't know.
She wasn't working at Costco. She was shopping at Costco.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
and she just, like, started giving me advice on... Because I was looking for a travel bag. And she sat and talked to me for a long time about a travel bag. And I was like, I found my people. And so now I am your mother.
Wouldn't that be a great thing? Like, if she was just like, you know what? I need a break. And she was in Costco somewhere.
Hey, I've thought about it. I was like, I could work here. Makes me feel small.
Just hang out. I need to get in touch with the people.
Yeah.
I like Costco
Before we started talking about sweaters and condoms, we're talking about protecting yourself in business.
Okay.
Oh,
this is
that's
actually
what you were talking
okay.
about. Sorry.
Now, this is actually very topical because in the Facebook group this week, there's my friend Jamie Page, and he started making pens for a friend of his family, I believe. Like a coworker of his parents or something wanted him to make a bunch of pens. So they agreed on a price, and he went and bought all the supplies, and then they backed out.
Ooh, that's on my list, actually.
Yeah, so now he's sitting there with all these supplies that he bought. Ooh, Amy's list is back!
My list, you guys. Yeah, that's number 7, so I guess you win something.
List.
So every time you guess something off my list, and I really did have wear a sweater. I did not have wear a condom on my list, but number 7 is have contracts with clients. If you're going to do that kind of work, you really, really need to have some sort of a contract. It doesn't necessarily have to be a paper contract, but you need something in writing. So it's really great to confirm things over email. And then it's really, really important, I think, if you're going to do any kind of large order, to get a 50% deposit that's non-refundable. If you're doing that kind of work, like tell them up front, like, this is the deal. If there's a problem with the product in the end that you don't fulfill your end of the bargain, then there's a way for the client to get out of it because it's, unfair business practices. But if you do what you've been asked for, you should be able to require a 50% deposit that's non-refundable for your time. Because as makers, like, it's just us, if, most of these businesses. So if I'm going to dedicate all my time to one client to do one job, which I used to do a lot during the holidays, I would do ornaments, Christmas tree ornaments for large companies, and I would put their logo, and I would do like 3,000 of these at a time, and so I wouldn't have time to do any of my other work. So I would always ask, hey, I need half the money to get started. You need that money to buy supplies. It's just like a contractor. If you're building a house or you're having a bathroom remodel, I mean, they ask for certain amounts of money. It doesn't even have to be a half. If you want to be super cool, you could be like, I need 25% on this date, and then I need 25%, 2 weeks later, and then I need this, and then I need the final payment upon delivery.
Yep. It's
yeah.
That's kind of a big deal, especially with that's actually exactly what I told Jamie when he posted about that situation. The first thing that I told him was half up front.
Yeah. When you're a small fry like us, you need to be able to do that. You gotta protect yourself.
Now, a lot of people are kind of, I'm sorry, Jeff, go ahead.
No, go on, Bill. It's okay.
Well, a lot of people, especially if you're small, you hear the word contract and you get scared because it sounds like this huge fat legal document.
No,
it doesn't have to be.
You can download them.
And for that matter, there's nothing wrong with using like a plain language contract. You know what I mean? Like, I'm going to do this, you are going to pay me this, you both sign it. Something that I do a lot is if a contract is kind of overkill for this situation, I use what's called a statement of work, which is just a document saying, I'm going to do this for you, you are agreeing to pay me this much, and then give them a copy. And if you both have a copy and you both signed it, then it's not like a full-on contract with like termination clauses and all that other stuff, but it's still something. It's better than the zero that
nothing.
you had. Yeah.
And you can, then go to small claims court, which is also a huge hassle, but at least it gives you that alternative.
I can't do work unless I'm getting something. I need a deposit. Like, I don't care what it is. I don't care what the project is. if I'm doing a video for you, even like I've shot a wedding before, like even when I've gone and recorded and made a video for your wedding, I needed bread up front. Like I don't, pieces of paper are cool, but I don't have the time or the patience to take you to court. So just give me some money up front. And you need to have it in some cases, like you need to have things paid in full by the day that I show up to record your video. I'm sorry, to record your wedding or to produce the video.
Oh yeah.
I don't do contracts. The only time I do contracts is when I'm working with professional organizations. So when I first started doing video content for my school in college, we had a legit contract. Like I wrote it up, had my godmother, who's a lawyer, take a look at it, and we made it, a structured thing. But I wouldn't do that with regular people because regular people don't care.
Yeah, well, that's when you pull out something like that statement of work I was talking about. It's a piece of paper that says, I'm going to do this, you're going to pay this. And you both sign it. It doesn't have to be... I
call that a receipt.
Yeah. But I completely agree. There needs to be money up front. And for that matter, when you're talking about what the job is going to be, the first question out of your mouth should be, what's your budget? Because that will shorten a lot of pointless conversations where somebody doesn't intend to pay you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So before they even get rolling, it's like, okay, before we get started, what's your budget for this project? And if they don't have a budget, well, it was nice meeting you, but I work for pay.
Yeah. There's a really funny Twitter account called For Exposure, I think is what it is.
Yep.
And what they do is they just retweet offers that people are given to work for free. And it's usually artists, right? So a lot of people come at us artists and they want us to draw something for them for whatever it is, like a logo or a, whatever. And they want you to do it for free. Or they'll say that they'll give you money later. And it's always just some big scam. And it happens all the time. And they usually tell you, oh, you'll get like so much exposure on the internet and like so many people will see your work if you just do it. But no, don't do that.
If an organization is big enough to give you that kind of exposure, they're big enough to pay you.
Big enough to pay you, yeah. Otherwise, they're just, they're blowing wind up your skirt, as they say.
Yeah, and also I think it matters because I said, it's funny because I just said that, and then today, it's going to make me sound like a hypocrite, but today, this guy that I work with, he's a graphic designer, and he does a lot of artwork for a lot of different things. And I was just shooting around an idea for a t-shirt line that I wanted to do. And I went and did all the work. I made like this crazy ugly sketch. And mind you, I'm a pretty good artist. I just was being lazy. So I drew this really funny shape just to show him where I want things to go. And then I went and found some samples of things that I would like it to look like. And I asked him to just mark some stuff up for me. And then we could sit down and talk about a price. But with that, I don't expect to get, like I didn't give him any money up front because I figured it's just a little drawing. He go ahead and do that. But I didn't give him any money up front because I don't expect the work until the time that I give him the money. You follow me? Mm-hmm. So depending on, I think it also depends on what the actual thing is. If somebody says like, yeah, that's like a half hour, boom, boom, boom. I don't need any money up front. I don't need to do anything. I'll talk to you once I'm finished with it. I think that is another way to go. But as far as like big projects that takes time, that takes a lot of money out of your pocket, you need money.
Well, yeah.
And it also depends on if you have a personal relationship with the person that you're working with or a history with the person that you're working with.
Right.
Like if it's someone from your work that you know, then you don't really need a contract because they have a history of showing you they're going to complete the work and you're going to pay them and stuff like that.
Or for that matter, if they're a repeat client. Like I have clients who I've been working with for 6 months now, and at this point I know they're going to pay up.
Yeah. Same.
Well, I needed
a
deposit. I did a wedding for a friend of the family, and I needed a deposit.
Well, it's still, that's not your like number. You haven't like
I'm
worked
joking.
with
It was a joke.
Okay.
I was joking. But so definitely money up front is a very big, important step towards protecting yourself.
Especially if it is any kind of project where there is some sort of physical good involved, where you have to to go out and buy your materials. Now, when I'm doing my freelance writing jobs, I don't require a payment up front because all that I have to do is sit down and write it. And if they don't pay me, I just don't give it to them. But that is another very important point, is if you are selling something that is intangible, okay? Like if I show somebody the article that I wrote for them, they now have it.
Yeah.
It's not like I can take the words back. Once they've seen it, it's theirs. So I need to make sure they're going to pay. which is why I'm so adamant about things like the statement of work from people I don't know. Now, if there's a physical good involved, like Amy, if somebody pays you, if somebody wants to buy a necklace from you and then they don't give you the money, you don't give them the necklace.
Right.
But if I write a bunch of words and then they look at the words and go, that's good, and we'll pay you next week, and then they never pay up, well, now they have what I wrote. And I don't have the money.
Yeah, but you have the copyright, so...
Yeah,
I mean,
but
they
that's
can't technically publish
expensive.
it.
That is very expensive to
it really is.
litigate.
It's so hard to fight for stuff like that, but you could just raise hell on the internet.
Yeah, I was, and we got to talk about this because it's important, because I forgot what I was listening to, but they were talking about like the upcoming tax codes, and this had nothing to do with what we're talking about, but it kind of does. And they were talking about how like with the tax codes, it's so complicated that people who are like poor or people who are middle income, they don't go out and pay for a tax person. They usually just use something like TurboTax, which is free, and you pay like $20 to submit the federal, right? But if you really wanted to take advantage of the different type of tax breaks, you really have to pay somebody.
Yeah.
And so when it comes to things like litigation, we talk about it like, yeah, I could just take you to court if you do that. But literally, if you're taking the person to court over $200, it's not worth it. Your lawyer fees are going to be more than that.
Small claims court is for just that, where you don't need a lawyer and you can just go in, and I think it's for like under
Judge Judy.
Yeah, it's like that. Only
Go to Judge
it's real.
Judy. Yeah.
But there is small claims court for that. But for a regular, it usually costs like about $2,000 just to retain a lawyer. Yeah. That means just for them to agree to represent you and to talk to you.
It's
so
not even...
it is really rough to.
So you need to do a lot of work up front. Like the more you could protect yourself on the front end, the less you have to worry about things on the back end.
Well, since we brought up lawyers, something I want to bring up is you can usually, without retaining an attorney, you can find someone who will review your contract for you and like point out potential problems. Which, by the way, if you are on the other side of the contract, if you are having to sign a contract to work with somebody else, absolutely, if it's for a lot of money, have somebody look it over for you.
Yes.
Yeah.
And keep in mind something super important is that contracts are negotiable. Just because it's written there doesn't mean you have to sign it as is. Okay,
drop that knowledge, Bill.
Yeah, well, there's I already know my recommendation for this week. So, but there was advice from a lawyer who represented a creative like design agency, and he was saying the contract represents basically my wish list for everything that I want for my client. If you sign it as is, it's like the best thing in the world.
You gave me everything, yeah.
Yeah, you just gave me everything that I wanted. This is supposed to be a negotiation. Just because it's in the contract doesn't mean it has to end up in the final document. So if there's something in there that you object to, bring it up, because if they didn't need you, they wouldn't be hiring you. So you don't give away that power by just signing the first thing they stick in front of you without reading through it or putting it in front of a lawyer. Now, that might cost a couple of $100, but it might save you a lot.
Yeah, it won't cost as much usually as retaining a lawyer, and that's really great advice for a lot of the YouTube people that listen to this podcast, or, just in general, because a lot of YouTube people just get famous all of a sudden, get offered, maybe a TV gig or something, and it's really important in those cases for you to definitely have someone go over those contracts, and there's a lot of people in Los Angeles that do that for a living, so they're really easy to find.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have one other related thing to contracts really quickly.
Okay.
I don't know if this applies to everyone, but one of the things that I always do now is I have a lot of models that model my jewelry, and I take all the photographs myself and I use them all over the internet. I use them on Amazon. I use them on banners at events. I used to blow up huge photos and do like these 10 by 10 booths at really big craft fairs and stuff. And they're just of people that I know, and I use average people, but I always have someone sign a model release. So if you're doing any kind of work at all where you're photographing other people with your work or whatever, even if they say it's cool, make sure that you have them sign a model release, because you never know. You never know what's going to happen. You never know when someone's going to hate you later and then not want you to use their pictures.
Or for that matter, I mean, if something happens to that person and somebody in their family decides that they need to get paid, just because the person agreed to it, you don't have any proof.
Yeah, or if that person that you photographed gets famous. Yeah. You never know. There's all kinds of things that could happen with photographs. But no, I have photographs of people that are pretty popular now, and so I even had them sign model releases, but it's really convenient, and there's a ton of free templates on the internet for those that you can find, and it's really easy to sign it, and then you can use it for advertising and whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's a lot of different websites that provide basic templates, like whether it's for incorporation, whether it's for different things like that, statement of disclosure. But it's funny you said that, Amy, because I actually just, and it's not a long one, but I actually just made one of those photo release forms because for the program that I'm trying to do, I need to take pictures. Like as I'm building this website, I realized that I haven't been taking enough pictures of the workshops that I have been doing. Like my website will look so much better with more pictures, but like a dummy, I don't think about that while I'm actually doing the workshop. But that's not the point. The point is, going forward, I'm going to be proactive in taking pictures. And as I bring these kids in, I'm having them all sign photo releases just so that I don't have to worry about anything. Got to get the parents too.
Yes. So my photo release form has that in there. It says that I verify, that I'm 18 or older. If not, this is my guardian who's signing for me. So make sure you do that.
Very important stuff. Not only do you have to protect yourself from people, but you got to protect yourself from the law, because sometimes the law is very vague and that law can be interpreted and used against you. Even though your intention was good, that law can be something that trips you up at some point.
Well,
so
see,
make sure you protect yourself.
Yeah. Something that I was going to say, following on from that, is just wherever you are, know the laws in your area that apply to you and whatever you're doing. You might think that it's not a big deal until it is. Because legal stuff doesn't seem like it's important until it's in your face. And then, oh boy, do you wish you did your homework. So I know here, I have a book around here somewhere. I can't find it. Okay. But it's my wife brought it home for me, and it's called Doing Business in Nevada. And it's just a little handbook for small business owners who are in the state of Nevada. It's like, here are some things you should know. And some of them relate to stuff that doesn't apply to me. Like, I don't have a retail location or anything like that. I don't, so I don't have to worry about that so much. But at the same time, there are things that I should do, like I should have an LLC in place and et cetera. Like,
oh, you don't?
I'm about to.
I don't either.
I'm about to.
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's what I asked for Christmas, is I'm getting an LLC.
Yeah, I need to probably do that too. That's the other thing that I don't know anything about, but I wanted to recommend is to get an LLC. If it's affordable, it depends on how much money your business is making, what kind of like equity and property and things like that you own, but it protects you. So if someone sues surly-ramics for whatever, I don't know what they could sue me for, but if they sued me, they can never get my house.
Yeah.
If I'm an LLC, it makes the business an entity on its own, which is one of the things a lot of Democrats fight against. The idea of corporations being people.
They don't fight against that.
Well,
but that's not the point.
Yeah, it makes your business separate from you.
Yeah.
So, like surly-ramics, right now, I'm a sole proprietorship. I am surly-ramics. I have a DBA, which is a doing business as. So it's Amy Roth doing business as surly-ramics. So right now I am surly-ramics. But if I wanted to spend an extra $1,000 a year or something, it does cost a lot more in the state of California to have an LLC. So, but I should probably do it anyway.
Yeah, I think it really depends on the type of business that you have and what your long-term goals are. Long-term goals are, I don't know what comes after that, but I usually do that.
Achieving your goals, that's what comes after that.
As I'm talking, I catch myself saying like, what it is, and then go on and explain what it is. I'm like, why do I do that all the time? But anyway.
What it is, Jeff. What it is.
Forgot my train of thought. Oh yeah, now I remember. So it depends on the type of business that you have and what are your long-term goals. And so and you have to really talk to a lawyer about that. And you could talk to a lawyer for free. Most lawyers, like if you came to them and said, hey, listen, I'm interested in doing such and such, they will give you the free advice because they hope that a consultation, because they hope that you'll give them the business. And not all the time, like doing an LLC for yourself, I don't know how it is in Nevada and in California, but doing an LLC in New York is it's a piece of cake. I actually incorporated one of my companies in the state of Delaware because of some other things, but that's not the point. But a lot of those things are very easy for you to do, and all you have to do is just get the little bit of information, have a lawyer point you in the right direction, and then you can do that yourself. But if you're not confident in doing that yourself, then I would suggest you paying for a lawyer. I would not suggest doing that LegalZoom thing though, because a lot of people that I know have done that, and not because I think LegalZoom isn't a good thing, but I think you either should do it yourself or have somebody that you could talk to and have a relationship with to do it. If you do it through something like LegalZoom, like you don't have that same type of trust. Like you can't go to them and be like, hey, give me a little bit of, give me a little advice or something like that.
They had like a class action lawsuit at one point. I can't remember
really?
what I used. Yeah, I can't remember what I used them for, but I remember I ended up getting like $20 back like 5 years later for some class action lawsuit against them for something weird that they did. So just, be careful who you choose to handle stuff like that.
Yeah, but protecting yourself with either creating another corporation or even if you're doing it with somebody else, making sure that you have that organization structure and understanding in place, because even there's some organization structures where if you and somebody else go into a partnership, you have a partnership agreement, right? And that person screws everything up, it'll screw you up. Yeah. So like it's important that when you go to protect yourself, like talk to a lawyer, talk to somebody. You can get that free advice, like I said. Talk to people who are doing it, who have experience in that, because that's sometimes even more important, talking to people who have made those mistakes or have had those successes. And then after you've done that, making sure that you either have yourself a lawyer on hand or you do that yourself. But make sure that your hand is in there the entire way so that you know what's going on, so that you understand. Because I hear stories every day of people who say, here, I don't want to know how it gets done, just go off and do it, and they get screwed.
Yeah.
Like royally screwed. So definitely make sure that
when it's your livelihood, you can't afford to pass that off. You really do need to know what's going on. It might be difficult to understand. You might need to do some homework and speak to a professional, but don't just hand it off to somebody and assume that everything's good.
So I have another bit of advice. Let's see, what number is this? Number 4 is look into business insurance. And now this is extremely important if you have a brick and mortar business, which I used to have, which failed miserably. But you have to have an insurance policy for something like that in case somebody walks into your business and slips and falls or anything like that. And especially for the woodworkers out there with all your fancy equipment that could slice off somebody's finger, it's really important if you're going to have anyone from the general public come into your space in order to do shopping or to have client relations for whatever. That sounded like sexier than it should be. I don't mean like you're gonna have a date or anything, but if they come in and you guys are gonna make business deals or whatever, it's really important to have some sort of insurance, just like you would have property insurance on your house. If someone comes into your house and slips and falls, you need the same thing for your business, so you can look into that. And also along those same lines, it sounds sort of obvious, but I think one of the best ways to protect yourself if you're running your own business is to have health insurance. And that's sort of a scary thing right now with Obamacare and all of that being repealed and our health benefits being messed with. It is really, really important to have some sort of health insurance that's going to cover you in case, something happens to you and you're the only one running your business. So like if I get sick and I'm in the hospital for whatever reason, surly-ramics is like, that's it. Like it goes dead right there with me. So, lucky for me, I'm part of a family with my husband who would help me, and we have really good health insurance. But that's something that is terrible, but we all really need to consider it to protect your business. Yeah.
I'm going to take it a step further. And this is a conversation that most people don't want to have because it's uncomfortable.
Life insurance?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that is a conversation. You try coming into a black family and start talking about life insurance. They're like, "What, you trying to kill me?" But that's not the point. But
you're like, "No, but the cops
your business is important."
I joked. Okay. I was drinking water. Don't do that.
That's funny. But no, life insurance is crucial, and it doesn't cost a lot. I mean, it depends on how much you want your policy to be worth.
And
but,
your age,
and your age and your health and your background and stuff like that. But it's so important. I cannot stress that. When we talk about protecting yourself in the podcast, we're talking about protecting your business. But I'm talking specifically about protecting yourself, protecting your family. Forget the business. Getting life insurance, a good life insurance policy, and making sure that you are up to date, that you understand that you have your beneficiaries on there, because you'd be surprised how many families do not have life insurance. and you could just not wake up one day, and next thing you know, your family is scrambling and starting a GoFundMe page to pay for your, what is it? I was about to say wedding, to pay for your funeral. And, you know, that now they're hurting because they had to do that. They got to figure out how to fill this gap of income. So, yes, doing all these other things are important, but everybody needs to have a life insurance policy. And it's sad to say because, you know, these life insurance companies, they don't want to pay out. They really don't. It's like car insurance companies here in New York. Like, you get in an accident out here, even if the guy says he hit you, it's a no fault. Unless the cops see them hit you, it's a no fault. But that's, yeah, I'm sorry. I'm getting worked up over here. But, you know, making sure that you protect yourself and your family, because if you don't know, you could walk outside, get struck by lightning.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's a loss of income for your family. So protecting yourself has to start with protecting your family. And if you're the only person in your household, well, I would still say get life insurance, because you don't know who it might help in your family. It might be like your mom or your
beneficiary
aunt.
would be Amy Roth.
Makers Hustle, because we suggested it.
Yeah, because there's like some stuff we really need. So.
Yes, we can get some better equipment, but that is another thing. See, I was about to say I have a problem with repeating words.
Well,
another thing.
Hold up, before we move on, I wanna hit this real quick. If you are a woodworker or a workshop-y type person, like Amy was saying about business insurance. Now, if you can't afford business insurance, which if you're starting out you probably can't, don't bring your clients into your shop. Go meet them at a Starbucks or something. Like bring a sketch pad, draw out what they want. But if you bring somebody into your shop and they, hurt themselves, that's on you.
You are liable.
Yeah.
Don't,
seriously.
If especially with clients, okay? If it's your friend who is also like if from a workshop environment, then that's probably okay.
Yeah.
I'm not telling you not to bring your friends over, but my clients do
friends.
not see the inside of my shop. First of all, because they would never hire me, and second, because if they get hurt, that's it. I'm done.
Right.
Yeah.
I have people over to my art studio all the time, and I have events here, and I do crafting workshops here and stuff like that. But we have homeowners insurance, so that protects us in case anything happens. But yeah, that's really great advice, actually. If you don't have insurance for whatever reason and nobody's judging you, just, meet at a Starbucks. Yeah. Go to some corporate place. Go to Cheesecake Factory. I don't know. Go somewhere.
I was just at Cheesecake Factory, by the way.
There's one right down the street. They
have this Parmesan crusted chicken that I love.
Oh, yeah. That is so good. Their menu makes me insane, though.
Yeah,
it's
too big.
It's too big. And
I
there's
can't do those things.
Yeah, there's like ads in it. It's like the phone book.
I never noticed the ads, but it's like 12 pages long.
Advertising and all this stuff. I'm like, nah, I can't. Yeah. There's just too many choices.
I don't even look at the menu. I already know what I want. I've tested it out 10 years ago. I know it's good. I'll get it every time.
I know that because that's the thing that I ordered too.
Yeah, that's funny. But
all right.
Dang it,
Bill's
I had something I forgot.
No, I'm thinking that I brought that up last week. It's a restaurant where the menu hasn't changed in 10 years, and you're like, I don't know any place like that. Yes, you do. You just said it.
Well, I don't go to Cheesecake Factory ever. Mm-hmm. I've only gone. See, the thing about Cheesecake Factory, their food is super generic and it's expensive.
Yeah.
Like, I don't. If I want to go, like, I don't like those type of restaurants. I'm from Buffalo, New York. We don't have a lot of big, like super big restaurants. We have the mom and pop ones. That's why I don't like those Zagat ratings. Like, I need to go to your restaurant and tell you if it tastes good.
Yeah.
And if I get there and it tastes nasty, but you have a 5-star rating, I'm gonna let you know. Right? Sorry, I don't mean to point because I get emotional about food. But so I don't like Cheesecake Factory. I don't like Cheesecake Factory, but there was nowhere else to eat, and it was late, and it was like it was real early in the morning. And I was like, screw it, we're going to the mall anyway. Let's go to Cheesecake Factory. And then I remembered, like, yo, this freaking menu is ridiculous. Mm-hmm. It's like this thick.
Yeah.
Like an inch thick. I was like, this is terrible. See, now you done got me off topic. I almost had what I was trying to say again. And then I forgot. It went right out the window.
Take a moment.
Got me worked up about Cheesecake Factory.
Hey,
but the chicken was
the list. The list.
Right.
What else you got on the list? That might bring it back.
Here's some advice.
I need to start using the list.
Diversify. And now this can mean a whole lot of things. Diversify your money if you can. If you have any money, don't put it all in one place. Don't put it all in one account. Don't put it all in one thing. You know, if you have multiple businesses, this is really great. Diversify your businesses. Diversify where your money's coming from. This is what I talk about a lot with the stuff that I do is finding ways to monetize my art, right? So I am just me. I run Surly-ramics by myself. I make all my art by myself. But I've been figuring out ways as time goes on to monetize the one thing that I do into multiple different platforms. So I have my Patreon. I have my Redbubble shop. I have Amazon.com. I have Etsy. So all these different places, if one of those businesses goes under or stops performing or for whatever reason, I still have alternate forms of income that are coming into me. So I've learned how to diversify the work that I do. So I highly recommend doing that. And again, with your money too, it's as simple as don't just have one bank account. Don't just have, if you're wealthy, buy gold, buy stocks, put your money into other things too. I'm not necessarily at that point in my life, but I recommend doing stuff just like that. Spread it around. Because you can't, especially right now, man, like I do not trust anybody or anything.
Now I know we've talked about this before because I even said that was my favorite words were multiple income streams, but only together, not separately. We had that whole discussion. Yeah, so, and we had the discussion about if all you have is a YouTube channel and that's where all your money's coming from, you don't have a business. You have a piece of somebody else's business.
Yeah,
it could disappear tomorrow.
Yeah.
Somebody at YouTube changes the policy, and guess what? You're not getting paid anymore.
Yeah.
That's it. It's over. So you need to have money coming from...
I just got this advice, because I started making political art on my Patreon, and so I lost a bunch of patrons, and I was warned ahead of time before I made that switch, because I used to just do science art. And so now, because of what's happening, I really feel this uncontrollable urge to speak out with my artwork. So I made a change on my Patreon where it says I'm going to do science-inspired art and political art and podcasting. So I lost a bunch of patrons because of that, but someone who had warned me, they're like, you shouldn't do that, you shouldn't do it, you should just, lay low and keep that income stream coming in. And I was like, yeah, but I sort of look at Patreon as a way for me to express my art. And I also look at it as a thing that could disappear at any day. When I started Patreon, I never assumed that it was going to be like how I would make my money. So as long as you are okay with any one of those particular things going under at any minute, then you're all right. Like same with Etsy. Like if Etsy were to fail, I know I can still put all my inventory on Amazon. Or I can, put it on another network or just sell it on my own website.
Yeah, you could just open your own web store if you had to. I mean, it's not something that I recommend because it's a lot of work, but you could.
Oh, it's extremely a lot of work. Like consolidation, you'd be surprised how far a little consolidation will get you, because that's how I'm thinking right now. Okay, so I remembered what I was gonna say, and the reason why I forgot is because it's not so much making heavy, it's more business heavy. I think a lot of the topics that we do lean more in one direction than they do the other.
Okay.
And so, but that's good because that gives us that diversification that we're talking about. But the one thing that I wanted to say is partnership. So for me, this is why I say it's not too much of a making thing, because if you guys are just you in the business, then it's not as easy for you to go into a partnership to be in business. But if you are thinking about doing something like I told you guys that I'm thinking about doing this t-shirt line just because I like the way that it could look in my mind and I think it'd be a good idea. I don't want to go into it alone. Right. And so what I'm doing is I'm looking at a couple of my friends and saying, hey, what do you think about this concept? Do you want to go half with me? Right. Or do you want to put a little bit of money on me? Because I could spend $500 on 20,000 T-shirts. And if I find a deal like that, that'd be crazy.
You can't do that.
I can't. I don't know. But let's say I spend I'll say $500. That's a lot of money. But if I spend $500 by myself and those T-shirts don't sell, then I'm screwed. Right. But if I spend $250 and my friend spends $250 and those T-shirts don't sell, I'm not as screwed. I'm still screwed, but I'm not as screwed. And so partnership, thinking about how you can protect yourself whenever you're doing business, think about how you can bring other people on board to either you do the muscle and they give you the money, or, vice versa, however, but being creative in the way that you structure your business. And not from a legal perspective, but from an operational perspective. And if you can bring people on to kind of limit your liability, limit your exposure, that's going to be a way to protect yourself.
Can I add something to that?
Absolutely.
If you go into business with somebody else, you might feel like you're on the same team, and you're in business together. You need a piece of paper. You need something that spells out the relationship, because if things go south, you need something that spells out how it is going to fail. Like, you know, if you put in $250 and your friend puts in $250 and then something happens, well, who's getting their money back first? How? Yeah. You know, if the business folds or gets purchased, like, how much of an ownership stake do you have? You know, how much work are you responsible for?
Point out that you and I don't have a business agreement.
Thought about
None
that.
Of us.
I was thinking about that
All
as you were
three
talking.
of
I'm like,
us
do we
don't
have
a business agreement?
Well, that's because I own 100% of this thing and you guys just show up.
We just got screwed.
And it was in the Google document that you never check every week.
Wow,
So
I certainly hope
probably
you're
where
wearing
it
a
is.
condom because
And a sweater.
and a sweater.
And a sweater. No, that's as soon as you started talking about that, I started thinking, did I sign anything? with
No,
that?
we didn't sign anything because we decided to just go for it. It doesn't have to
This
be
is bad
right up
business
front,
practice.
but if things
No,
are
it's
going well and it's been going for a few weeks and it's going to be a continuing thing, it might be time to sit down and talk about, hey, let's get a piece of paper, you know?
Yeah.
All right, let's get a
Very
piece
true.
of paper, and I would like to be made queen.
That is her official title on the
Yeah.
on her
I
business
don't know.
card. It's gonna say
Yeah.
queen.
Just queen.
Okay, you can be queen.
Spelled
All right, that's okay.
Kween. Thank you.
Wait, how you spell that?
Queen. Kween. Like
Oh, okay.
queen.
You guys are
Yes,
so
queen.
weird.
Okay.
Get hip on the
Okay.
lingo with the ladies, okay, Jeff? Come on. Yes,
Well,
queen.
I'm sorry. I need to go and check that. What was it? Webster. We were talking about Webster. I need to go check and see if that's in Webster.
It's not. It'll be on. What's the urban whatever the heck?
Urban Dictionary?
Oh, there we go. I was about to say
Well,
Urban
Decay.
Britannica.
That's the makeup.
Yeah, that's a different
all I
thing.
could think of.
So partnership is great in terms of being able to start a business without committing as many resources yourself, but define the partnership.
Define
especially
the partnership,
once it gets
define
rolling.
The relationship.
Yeah.
It's fine to start it on a
This is-
handshake, but once it actually gets moving, that's when it's time to write it out.
Yeah, because a
Okay.
handshake is very hard to prove in court.
Yeah.
And it's just like any
So-
relationship, right? It's just like if you were dating somebody and early on you don't know what it is. It could work, it might not work, but you guys aren't really invested in it. But the second that you guys get serious, you want to identify what type of relation. Are we going steady? Are we married? What's going on?
So, for the record, the three of us right now are doing a really awesome three-way, right? And I think it's working out really well, but I just want you to know that I still want to date other businesses.
Oh, well.
Is that okay?
That's
so
okay.
we've
I'm
got a
very
three-way.
what is that called? A fling? Not a fling.
No,
What
I
is
think
that
it's called
thing called?
polyamory. So, like, I love you guys, but I also
Well, that
love...
means we're married.
things.
I was thinking more like what open relationships.
No,
they call that
that's
something.
No,
It starts with a F.
polyamory.
Oh, that's
No.
what it's called? Oh.
Yeah, polygamy is when you are
When
married,
you're married. Ah.
to too many people.
Well, that's
which
okay.
they
I've been cheating
don't
from the
allow.
jump. You were never my only one.
Same here, same here.
And it's no shame, but I'm honest about it.
Bill is so annoyed right now.
That's one thing I do not do in a relationship. I am not a
So
liar.
it's an equal three-way thing that we have going
You
on
got
here,
anything
Bill.
else on that list?
I do.
What else is on the
I
list?
have. Okay, on my list is that you should clearly clearly state your return policy. Right? If you're a
There
retail
is none.
business, there is none. You got to keep it. If you're a maker, though, and you're making things and you're making a lot of things, it's going to happen where somebody's going to want to return it. So you have to have some sort of policy either on your website or in person or something. And that can be written into the contracts that we had discussed earlier for doing the business.
Yeah.
But if someone's not satisfied, if they hire you to do something and you don't provide them with what they wanted, then they may want to return it. Or if something arrives to them damaged in the mail, you have to have some sort of way to make the customer happy, because there is this old saying that a happy customer tells no one, but an unhappy customer tells five
Everyone.
people. And everyone, or everyone they know. But it's
Yeah.
usually, a happy person says nothing. An
that's so
unhappy
true.
customer tells five people.
Yeah.
So,
And another
can
thing,
really be
I don't
bad
know
for
if I don't know if we mentioned this. We kind of did, and this definitely depends on the type of the type of business that you do, but making sure that you're keeping people updated with the business. Because let's say it takes me 2 weeks to do something, and I don't hear from you I'm doing it, and you're my client, and you don't hear from me for 2 weeks. You realistically could say, I either forgot about it, you forgot about it, I don't know what's going on, I don't want to do this business. So checking in with people, like sending them a picture of the product, sending them a little memo,
Updates.
a couple of things at different points periodically throughout, that's going to limit your liability.
Yeah.
Right. Because if you're in constant contact with that person, they're more likely to remember and still want the product. Or if it's something that they see you might be able to fix, that'll keep that business going. Right. But if they don't hear from you for 2 weeks, you go and do all this hard work for something, and then they say that's not what I wanted. Well, then you're out time and probably a little bit of money.
Yeah.
So
I want to add to that a little bit too.
Thing.
Amy, you said have a clear return policy. For something like what I'm doing, if I'm doing freelance writing for somebody, obviously there's no returns. So,
but there is edit options, right?
So
you
I
have
spell
so
out,
many revisions.
Yeah, I spell out, if it's a major project like that, I spell out the number of revisions that are included with that price, because otherwise what happens is if you don't spell that out and the client is one of those people who's like, can you move that comma there and then do that there? And then
They'll
what?
come at you like 10 times.
Yeah, and then and it's always the ones who pay the least who are the most demanding. You ever notice that?
Yes.
I had a client. I did a website for somebody way back when I still did websites. Okay, and it was a favor for a friend of my wife, and she wasn't even my wife at the time. She was my fiance. Okay, that's how long ago this was. And I said I would do it to help them out for $250, which is nothing.
Whew.
Okay,
I'd do it for less than that.
They were such a huge pain in the ass. They wanted everything. It's like, can you move that 3 pixels to the left? I'm like, no.
They don't even know what a pixel is.
Yeah, and then they took forever to
the
pay
website
me.
themselves.
So it's just, this is, kind of how I learned all this stuff. Is just clear policies. If you have physical goods, then a clear return policy. If there are refunds, say that there are refunds. Does that refund include the shipping cost or not? Does the refund include the material cost or not? See, if I'm building something for somebody, I have a non-refundable 50% deposit, unless it's my fault, and then they get the money back. If it's, a project like that, I didn't take any money up front, so I was doing all this work, and then they took forever to pay me, and they were a pain, and it's just, it was a learning experience, but it wasn't pleasant. So, yeah, get your policies spelled out, and then what Jeff said is communicate. Communicate all the time. If things are not going as planned, if things are taking longer than you thought, communicate, okay? Because your client will not be mad at you, or at least usually won't be mad at you, if you tell them what's going on. What they'll be mad about is if you ghost on them.
Yeah.
They'll hate that. And that's when they come at you and get mad.
Yeah.
That's when they're like, where have you been? I want my money back or my stuff right now. But if you keep them posted the whole time, okay, this is how it's going. All right, I'm waiting on one more material delivery. It's been delayed, but it's coming. As soon as it gets here, I can finish this up. If they know what's happening, then it's not a mystery where their money went, and they won't get quite so angry. At least if you're dealing with a rational person. Some people are just nuts. Oh, and by the way, know when it's time to just cut your losses. Like I had a client who bought some T-shirts from me, and they weren't happy with the shirts, so they sent them back. So I remade them. Okay, so at this point I've now doubled my materials cost, and then I shipped them back out express. Okay, and they weren't happy with those shirts. And at that point, I said, all right, I'm deducting the shipping cost, and I'm giving you a refund of the rest. So I'm out the materials cost now. But at this point, it is worth it to me because I want to end this relationship right now.
Yeah.
Because they're already not happy. There's nothing that I can do to make them happy. That's a good question to have in your arsenal, by the way. If things are going bad, you just go, what can I do to make this right? And if the answer is nothing, you know what? Refund and goodbye.
Yeah. Yeah.
It might hurt, but it hurts a lot less than having a client who you're stuck with and you can't get rid of.
they're horrible.
Yeah. So just know when it's time.
I've had that happen quite a few times. Yeah. Like I have no problem with remaking something if something didn't come out right, but I've had people like place specific orders for certain things. I created it exactly the way they wanted it, and then they came at me and they're like, "Oh no, I wanted it in blue," and I'm like, "I have the email right here. Yep. You said you wanted it in red." I've had that happen, and I've had to say goodbye to some specific online retailers that I no longer do business with because of that. But.
All right.
It's good.
I
just want
to make sure we do a lot of good communication. Like, we talk about a lot of good things. Oh, I gotta write that one down. We talk about a lot of good information in these podcasts. Like, literally, I just made a list of the things that I could remember that we spoke about, and we have a lot of good tips on here. So before we close out, I want to make sure that we recap, because this is an important. I don't think we do this enough in our podcast, and I think we should kind of recap, just so if you remember. If you don't remember, you can hear it before you finish listening to us. But we talked a lot about different business structures, protecting yourself with an LLC or a different type of corporation, just making yourself and your business two different entities so you can't lose your house. We talked about going to see a lawyer, paying for a lawyer if you can. If you don't want to, get that consultation for free. We talked about life insurance, health insurance. We talked about partnerships to limit your own exposure. We talked about knowing when to cut your losses, and we talked about communication.
We also talked about contracts, statements of work.
Contracts, yes.
Contracts
yes.
are negotiable. Ask about the budget, the difference between dealing with physical goods and intangibles. We talked about releases. We talked about knowing the laws in your area.
Hoo-wee.
And we talked about Cheesecake Factory.
And Cheesecake Factory, just to put a little icing on the top.
And now...
that is a lot of good information.
Yeah, this was I'm really happy with how this one came out. We're not even done.
Wow,
so,
that's a lot
let's do our recommendations.
I have one more thing that was on my list really
okay,
fast.
good. No, I'm
I'm
sorry.
Go.
Yeah, just the only thing that I don't think I got a chance to mention, which is really important for any small business owner, is to get a line of credit that's specific for your business. It may only be $1,000. It may be $500. I don't know your situation, but whatever it is, have a specific line of credit set aside in your business name in case of emergency. And that will help you if you are in the situation where you can't get health insurance. If you do at least have a line of credit, you may be able to save your business in an emergency. So do that, and don't use that credit card for anything else. Use it only for business stuff.
Yes, and to support that, if you're going to get a line of credit for your business, be careful when you set that business account up, because if you tie it to your personal credit, you're going to be screwed. So
have a business account, a separate business account from your house and home and all that.
Yes.
Make sure it's in the business name. Yeah.
Yes. Do not let them tie that in any way to your business,
or to your personal.
To your personal, because I'm in that position right now where one of my businesses is tied to my personal, and my personal credit is not as high. It's not bad, but it's not as high as it could be with the amount of money and how good I've paid and keep my balances low on my business credit card. If I was smart enough a year ago when I was setting this up to just do it separately, my business credit would be through the roof.
Yeah.
And I would be able to go and get like a $20,000 loan with ease. But because they tie it to my personal credit as well, they're keeping me at like 5, which is annoying. But we could talk about that another day.
No, that's good advice.
Business address.
It ties into that whole sole proprietorship or LLC thing, which is make sure your business is separate from you. I mean, you might be the only person in your business, but you want to make sure that legally they are separate things.
Yeah, and even as a sole proprietor, you can separate it down the line. You still are responsible. It's still under your social security number, but you can still keep things like bank accounts separate.
Yep.
Yes.
Now we can do recommendations.
This was great. A lot of good information. So
we should start selling this stuff in like an audiobook.
So I have a recommendation this week that ties into the political atmosphere and the world around us and this new idea of a post-truth society that we live in, where there's a lot of fake information being spread around. And this is important for you personally and important for you as a business owner and a maker and just a human being living in the United States or nearby even right now. So there's a lot of false information being spread on outlets like Facebook. It's been shown there. You can look into it. There's people that have been paid like $30,000 and upwards to spread fake news stories on the internet. So one of the best ways for you to find out if something is true or not that's being spread around any kind of news story is to go to this one website called Snopes.
Oh yeah.
.com.
Love Snopes.
Okay. So Snopes, it's snopes.com, is really, really good at finding out the facts and letting you know if what you read is actually a true story or something that's being spread around. So and they're really quick about figuring stuff out too. So as soon as you hear some story, it could be like, Bigfoot was spotted in North Carolina on a semi truck, and somebody caught him and they're bringing it to, I don't know, someone's house. Anyway, you can look it up on Snopes. If it's a popular story that's been around, they will have heard about it, and you can go there to check whether or not it's true or false. And they'll tell you if it's true, it's true on Snopes, and if it's fact, it's not fact, they'll tell you. So it's a great website. Check that out, Snopes.com. I highly recommend using that for pretty much everything right now.
Pretty much everything.
They also cover
Right, so-
like the email forwards from your distant family. The stuff that you get from your grandma
email
or whatever.
scams.
Oh.
Yeah, there's
So
all
like
kinds
if
of
you have a
email
cousin
scams
you
and
haven't
stuff.
heard from.
Yeah, or the one about like Bill Gates will give you this much money if you forward this email to 30 people. You remember that stuff?
Yeah,
Yeah, it covers all of those too.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
So any kind of email scams, any kind of fake news stories, anything like that is going to be on Snopes.com. So it's really helpful.
Yeah.
Very
That's
interesting.
my
Happy to have that.
recommendation.
All right, so I have a couple of recommendations. The first one is a very light one. This past weekend, I went to go see Fantastic Beast. I have a very bad lisp. Fantastic Beast and Where to Find Them. So I don't know how it's really. It's the same universe as the Harry Potter universe. I don't know if it was before Harry Potter or after Harry Potter, at the same time as Harry Potter. But they reference Voldemort and all those Harry Potter things. But great movie. I really enjoyed it. And I'm not really a Harry Potter fan, but I'll go see. I've seen all the movies, so I thought that was a really good movie. Really well done, very creative, and I hope that they keep this series going. So that is my first one. The second thing is I just saw this today, and I really think that it's important, staying in line with what you were just talking about, Amy. I just saw this interview between Trevor Noah from The Daily Show and Tommy Lauren from, I can't remember her show. I think it's like the Blaze or something like that. But Tommy Lauren she's a young conservative girl, and she's always going on rants about different people, like Black Lives Matter, Colin Kaepernick, yada, yada, yada. And so she was on Trevor Noah's show, which I applaud her for doing. And they just had a conversation. And I was watching that, and it made me think about how it doesn't matter what the facts are. If you believe it, that's enough for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, whether it's true or not, people, if they at some point believe it, then it's truth. And that's what they're gonna roll with that until the end. And so I think that a lot of people need to go and see that debate. And well, it wasn't really a debate. It was a conversation about 10 minutes long. But just see the dialogue that they had and see how, two people with two different perspectives can sit down, have a conversation. It's not about whether they agree with each other. It's about having the conversation. And so I think that what we need to do as a society is have more conversations. And if you're opposed to having conversations, well, then you're probably not helping society move forward. So that is my second one. And my third one, I just want to go ahead and make a shout out to you both, because I've noticed that you guys have been posting a lot. Well, probably not more for you, Amy, but I guess it's because I'm on social media a little bit more in the past couple of weeks that I've noticed that you guys have been putting a lot of content out on social media to share. So I just want to give a shout out, and I want to make some recommendations. If you are listening to our podcast and you haven't done so yet, please go and check out Bill Lavosi and his One Car Workshop, or Surly Amy at Surly Amy.
Oh,
or
man,
surly-ramics.com.
you're making me blush.
Aw,
Oh, well, I try.
Thank you.
so
That's what I'm here to
nice. Thank you.
No problem.
So
I love
my recommendation for this week is it's the first thing that I thought of when we decided to do this topic, and it's a video that's been floating around for quite a while, actually, but it's a talk by a guy named Mike Montero, and the title is F*** You, Pay Me.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like
so
that
I'll have a
attitude.
link to that, but the whole idea is people who do creative work often have a difficult time getting paid.
Yeah.
And it is all about how to protect yourself. So it is extremely topical. It directly relates to what we just talked about. Now, he works in like a design firm, so they do a lot of web design and graphic design and logo design and stuff like that. But if you make anything at all for a client, if you do commission work for a client, at least some of this will apply to you. So it's
Nice.
really worth checking out. It's about an hour long, which is kind of, but it flies by. I've watched it 3 or 4 times in the last few years. Just every time I need a reminder of how this is supposed to go, that's what I go look at.
Can you make me one of those really cool etched glass frames that says that F*** you pay me that I can put up on my wall?
Yes.
That would be so cool.
I can do that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking about. Like, you guys have really changed from when we first started, right? When we first started, the types of things that you're doing. Amy, you started your Redbubble. Bill, you're making edge glass. I don't know where that idea came from, but between that and making knives, like you can see how even as we do this in the small amount of time, we're evolving, right? And I think evolution is important. I mean, you can't debate it, you can't fight it, but evolution is important. And as long as whatever you're doing is constantly being progressive and you're staying with the times and you're utilizing new technology, you're incorporating new ideas, you're having conversations, you're collaborating, I think that you will be successful. It might take a little bit longer depending on what you're doing, but as long as you're keeping those as the basic tenets of your operation, I think you're going to be successful.
Yeah, you got to keep moving.
Keep moving.
You got to keep moving.
Gotta stay current.
All right, so right before we close this out, where can everybody find you?
All right, so you can find... Oh, go on.
You can find me on pretty much all social media as @surly-amy, also on Patreon @surly-amy, pretty much everywhere. And if that's too hard for you, just go to surly-ramics.com. I've set that up as a portal to everything that I do.
Ooh, a portal.
Yeah, you know what? I never say it enough too. Etsy, like go on Etsy. I'm just surly on Etsy. I never say it, but I've got like 500 necklaces for sale right now there. Like, go check it out. It's the holidays, y'all.
Yes, it's the holidays. Get somebody you love a microbiology necklace.
Yeah, surly.etsy.com. Check it out.
If you want to make it a joke, have a little tardigrade eating their neck. Or wait, the tardigrade's upside down. So it'd be eating the bottom of their chest, but you get the point.
Yeah.
So you can find me on Facebook at more4, the F is the number 4. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at more_4. New website coming soon.
Nice.
Yeah.
You can find me on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at One Car Workshop, or you can find my stuff at onecarworkshop.com. At onecarworkshop.com, I also sell T-shirts, so if you're looking for a holiday gift for someone with very specific tastes, go check that out.
Very specific maker hustle taste.
Ah, well, that's where you get those from Amy.
Oh, yeah, you can get the Maker Hustle shirts on Redbubble.
Yeah.
I get like $1 if you order one. It doesn't really help as much, but it's still fun.
Every
you know?
dollar
like
counts.
It does. That's why I love Redbubble, because like it adds up as time goes by, so it's great. But yeah, you can get Maker Hustle logos, shirts, mugs, a dress. Like you could get all kinds of awesome stuff. You could have like your bedding and your pillows all done with Maker Hustle if you're super into it.
Yeah.
So do it.
So that's it for this week. If you're listening to the show on iTunes, please take a moment, leave us a rating, and tell us what you think. You can also find us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Makers Hustle. If you want to ask a question, give feedback, or suggest a show topic, you can contact us through social media or send an email to info@makershustlepodcast.com. Once again, thank you so much for listening. We love having you here, and while this show might be over, the hustle never
stops.
See you next week, everybody.
Hasta la vista, baby. Say hello to my little friend.
Bye, everybody.
I'm having a nervous breakdown over here.
Whew.